In the heart of the darkness, every spark reveals a story you never wanted to hear. Emma and Daniel had been on the road for hours, returning home after a weekend getaway. The night was still, the highway nearly deserted. The only lights came from their car's high beams cutting through the darkness. As they drove past an old gas station, Emma shivered. She couldn't shake the feeling that someone had been watching them from the shadows. Daniel reassured her, but as he checked the rearview mirror, a shadowy figure appeared in the back seat. His blood ran cold. He whipped his head around, but there was nothing there. The back seat was empty. Emma noticed his sudden tension and asked what was wrong. He didn't answer. Instead, he focused on the road, gripping the wheel tighter. Minutes passed, and the atmosphere inside the car grew unbearably heavy. A soft scraping sound came from the trunk, then a muffled thump. Emma turned pale, clutching Daniel's arm. They pulled into a rest stop barely illuminated by flickering streetlights. Stepping out cautiously, Daniel walked around the car. The trunk was locked, but something inside shifted slightly. He hesitated before unlocking it, the weight of dread pressing down on him. The trunk lid creaked open. Inside there was nothing but their luggage. No signs of forced entry, no explanation for the noises. Then Emma gasped. On the inside of the trunk, scratched into the metal, were the words, "Let me out." Without another word, they slammed the trunk shut and sped away, refusing to stop again until they reached home. Neither of them spoke about what happened that night, but every time they drove at night, Daniel couldn't help but check the rearview mirror, afraid of what he might see. Like and subscribe now. Are you brave enough to join the hunt? James had been driving for hours on an empty highway, the darkened road stretching endlessly before him. He was heading home after a long business trip, and the only company he had was the low hum of the engine and the occasional crackle of the radio. The night was cold, the fog thickening as he passed through a wooded stretch of road with no streetlights. As he rounded a curve, his headlights illuminated a figure standing on the side of the road, a young woman in a pale dress, her hair long and unkempt. She raised a hand as if signaling for help. James hesitated, but something about her frail appearance made him slow down. He pulled over and unlocked the passenger door. She slid in without a word, her face pale, her expression vacant. James tried to shake off the unsettling feeling creeping up his spine as he continued driving. The woman sat motionless, staring straight ahead. The silence became unbearable. He glanced at her, trying to make conversation, but the words caught in his throat when he noticed her reflection in the rearview mirror. There was none. His hands tightened on the wheel. The air in the car felt heavier, colder. He looked back at the passenger seat, but it was empty. The door hadn't opened. The seatbelt was still fastened. James slammed on the brakes, his breath coming in ragged gasps. He turned on the interior light, scanning the car. Nothing. His heart pounded as he checked the road behind him, but there was no trace of the woman. The highway was completely deserted. He drove the rest of the way in silence, refusing to look in the mirrors. When he arrived home, he noticed something chilling. On the fogged-up window of the passenger side, a single handprint remained.